I'm the Gentleman Wake. In this bonus content video, YouTuber and Magician Pigcake takes us through the many ways to use the Parlour Gaff Deck. Those of you who have that Gaff pack are in for a great treat, so stay tuned. And remember, for the best in playing cards content, like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell.
Hey there, Pigcake here, world-renowned magician and expert in all things magic. Today, you know what it means. We're gonna show you some tricks, and of course, we have the best deck to come out in 2019. I'm gonna put this one on my top 10 deck list of 2019. Of course, this is gonna be number one, and that's my own opinion. I'm not being forced. There's no gun off camera. This is all coming straight from my mouth. As part of my probation, I'm required to do community service. Luckily, the judges allowed me to do that community service on TheGentlemanWake's channel in the form of card trick tutorials. And today we're going to be showing you how to use your brand new Parlour Deck Gaff pack. If you don't have this, well, you're really missing out on the hottest item of the year. So we're going to be going through a couple of these Gaff cards and showing how you could use them to be the life of the party at whatever respected party you happen to attend. Included in your Gaff pack is going to be these two cards, the Ace of Clubs and the Six of Diamonds. But if you notice, they're not regular cards. That's why it's a Gaff pack, silly. So for this, it looks a little bit like the Ace of Clubs has vanished its little pip, and that pip has now caused the Six of Diamonds to have had the pips spread out within the confines of the playing card. So there's a number of things you could do. So I'm sure you advanced magicians could think of a bunch of different methods to get this card into this card, but I'm showing you guys two distinct methods that just take advantage of the Gaff cards and aren't too difficult to do. So first things first, you do need a little bit of a setup. So you're going to take both of these cards, and you're also going to take the corresponding cards from the deck, in this case the Six of Diamonds and the Ace of Clubs. So here's going to be the setup that you're going to need to have. So first things first, you grab the blank Ace of Clubs and you put that face up on top of the deck. The next one is going to be the Six of Diamonds. You're going to put this on top of that ace. Now, you could use these cards, you could just take them out of the deck, but these are going to be the two cards you're going to use. Now, it's going to be very, very important that the Ace of Clubs is going to go lowermost. The reason for that is because when you actually execute the color change itself, you don't want to add a bonus color change and change the Ace of Clubs into a Six of Diamonds. It's going to make more sense in a little bit. So right now you're going to have to employ the use of what's known in the magic business as a pinky break. And you're going to need that pinky break underneath this card over here, which is going to be the Ace of Clubs. The reason for that is because we're going to do a little bit of the sleight of hand. This is what magicians don't want you to see in order to get these cards to a position where we could change them into the other two cards. So we're going to put our little pinky underneath over here. Let's see which angle is best here. We're going to put our pinky underneath the second card. So we're going to put our pinky underneath the Ace of Clubs. We're then going to place these two cards on top. So now technically you should have a break underneath three cards from the top of the deck. So if we could get that from the multiple SpaceX technology here that we have from multiple angles, here's what the pinky break looks like from the right side. So you're going to place the Six of Diamonds on top, and then you are going to pick all these cards up as one. So right now the spectator thinks you're holding on to two cards. Really, you're holding on to four. So at this point, you're going to use your left thumb to take the Six of Diamonds and put it on top of the deck. At this point, you don't need to hold any sort of breaks. This is just going loosely on top of the deck. So now here's where you need to be in a little bit of, I don't want to say a hurry, because that's going to put the wrong mentality in your head, but you are holding three cards as one. So you don't want to be holding on to this for any prolonged period of time. So you're going to place this on top of the deck and then hold a break, separating that from the rest of the deck. So right now you should have a break underneath the Ace of Clubs. At this point, we're going to get into a move known as the Face Up Startler by Ed Marlowe. What this move looks like is that you take the Ace of Clubs and you just take the pip and you're able to seemingly toss it onto the other card, showing both cards as apparently normal. So that move is known as the Face Up Startle by Ed Marlowe. Ed Marlowe pretty much has written up so much on Magic, and we have to thank him for way too much, but he's dead, so we can't do that technically. So we're going to go into the breakdown of that particular move. So where we last left off, our break is underneath the Gaff Ace of Clubs. If you remember correctly, we have a break underneath 3 cards, with the lowermost card being the gaffed Ace of Clubs. So what we're going to do at this point is we're going to come in with our right hand, and we're going to pinch the cards approximately in the middle. Now what's going to happen is that you're going to bring this card all the way until it touches the right side of the 6 of diamonds, which is the non-gaff one. So at this point, you're going to do a couple things at once. You're going to push with your thumb those top 2 cards as one. So the top 2 cards that are above this initial gaff card are going to be pushed off as one. You're going to bring your thumb to contact the actual face of the deck here. What this is going to do is that when you separate your hands, you're going to notice that both cards are going to change. Now this is all done by just using my thumb to push off these 2 cards as one. Now there are some things that you're going to have to do to help this process from actually completing, but for now all we're doing is we're bringing these 2 together, we're pushing with our thumb as we're coming in contact with the deck, and we're separating. So now we're holding just a single ace in the hand, and we're holding the 6 of diamonds with the Ace of Clubs in the middle. Now what's good about this particular color change is that we could push off this card with our thumb, and there's nothing for them to see because the cards are now reversed in this situation. So you could very freely use your thumb to push off this 6 of diamonds gaff card without any fear of flashing the card directly underneath. So one more time at speed, what we're doing is we have a break underneath all 4 cards. We're going to lift up. We're going to use our thumb to push off that 6 of diamonds on top of the deck. We're then going to temporarily put the Ace of Clubs on top of the deck, and now we're going to be ready for the color change, which at speed looks like that. So you're adding a little bit of a snap to cover the actual action of the thumb pushing off those 2 cards. However, if you make sure that the cards are square and that your fingers are underneath the deck, those cards are going to land and coalesce with the rest of the cards, thus completing a very nice color change sequence. So the next color change involving these cards is going to involve the side of a table. If you want to do this, you could use a book, because you're going to use one card to flip over the other card in the middle of the color change. So you're going to need to have a little bit of a lip here. So you could use the side of a table, you could use a book, whatever it is you need to have that card elevated from the surface of the table would be best. So the setup here is very, very simple. You're going to need the 6 of diamonds with the gaff Ace of Clubs pip in the middle on top of the deck, followed by the regular 6 of diamonds, followed by the gaffed Ace of Clubs, followed by the ungaffed Ace of Clubs. So that's going to go on top of the deck, and you're going to be ready to go to blow some minds with this absolute miracle. So first things first, you're going to do a double lift. So whatever double lift strikes your fancy to show the top card is a 6 of diamonds. You can do whatever you want. I like doing that spinny double lift because it shows people that I've wasted 20 years of my life. So we're having a little bit of a pinky break here. We're going to take this 6 of diamonds. Remember, it's 2 cards as one. We're going to take this, turn it face down, and we're going to put this on the edge of the table. Now the reason for this is because we're going to be using the Ace of Clubs to do the same color change that we explained before. However, at the same time, turning this one to a face-up position, making it look like you've thrown the Ace of Clubs onto this card. It's a really dope color change. So here, we're going to need to get rid of this top card using a slip cut. So this is just a very simple move that looks like this. All that simply is using the thumb in the left hand to slip that card by putting a little bit of pressure as we take some cards underneath and we slap that on top. All that simply does is looks like a cut, but we've lost that card on top in the middle of the deck somewhere. So now we could do another double lift to show the remaining Ace of Clubs. Now what this is done is you just shown 1 6 of diamonds followed by an Ace of Clubs, and we're ready for the color change. So the color change is going to be the exact same face-up startler that we discussed before. The only difference is that we're going to do it to make sure that when we execute the color change, we flip this card to a face-up position. So that at speed looks a little bit like this. So we're just going to push this up a little bit. We're going to take the Ace of Clubs, and by just tapping it, it looks like the pip jumps from the Ace of Clubs onto the 6 of diamonds. So let's talk about that a little bit before we actually jump onto the next part. So this 6 of diamonds is face up. Now the higher the card is, the easier it is, because you're going to need to do this color change, which does require a little bit of space. So if you want, you could put it on top of the box. If it's on the side of the table, obviously you're not going to have that issue, but seeing that we're in the middle of the table, you might run into a little bit of a problem where your hands are touching the surface. So the higher the card is, the easier this color change is to actually do. So in this case, we're going to put the Gaff card on top of the card box, So remember, this is going to be a double lift, so these are 2 cards as one. So all we're going to do is we're going to do that same face-up startler color change, but this time with 1 card. So we're just going to execute the same color change that we talked about before, the face-up startler color change. At the same time, after executing that color change, we're going to use that card to flip this one over. It sounds more complicated than it is, but it's not. We're just going to do the face-up startler and flip that card over in one smooth motion. So it's going to make it look like the Ace of Clubs jumps from one card to the other. So it's a very, very nice visual and striking color change. So it does require a little bit of practice in the sense of getting the timing right. You're going to have a move that's surely going to make you the life of the party. So there are many different techniques that you could use to apparently shoot the Ace of Clubs onto the 6 of Diamonds. Those are just 2. They are a little bit more on the advanced side, but with a little bit of practice, I'm sure it's well within the scope of anyone. So on to the next gaff. So the next card that's included in your kit is going to be the 6 of Clubs, Queen of Hearts combo. Now there's a number of things you could do with this. However, today I'm going to show you guys a way to force this card and apparently make one of the cards vanish from the deck without much sleight of hand on your end whatsoever. So all we're going to do is make sure that we're going to have the 6 of Clubs facing away from you. And that's going to go on the bottom of the deck. So what we're going to do here is known as the Hindu Shuffle Force. And it's a very, very easy force to do. All we're going to do is hold the cards in our right hand like this. So we're going to make sure that our thumb and our middle finger are holding the cards on the long ends. Our fingers curled up here. With our left hand, we're just going to take little packets and little chunks of cards into it, much like an overhand shuffle, however, from the opposite position. So if you've noticed at this point, what you could do is you could have any spectator call stop whenever they want. Wherever they call stop, all you're going to do is take this packet that's being held by your right hand and put it so that it's sticking out towards them, what we call out-jogged, but what regular people call sticking out closer to the spectator. Now, if you've noticed, if we turn our hands in this condition, we could show the card being the 6 of Clubs without prematurely exposing any other aspect of the card. So at this point, we could show the card to the spectator, in this case being the 6 of Clubs. You could do it like this, however you want to do it to show the 6 of Clubs without you having knowledge of the card. Have them remember it, and all we have to do at this point is just square that card into the deck. Now, if you've noticed, if we turn this deck to a face-up position, the 6 of Clubs is now on the lower half of the deck. So if we spread the cards, we could very, very fairly spread the cards and ask the spectator to see if their card is somewhere in the middle of the deck. Of course, the spectator is going to say no because we took that card out of the deck beforehand, silly. That card's inside of the card box. So the original 6 of Clubs could be anywhere you want. It could be underneath the mat. It could be inside of the card box. It could be inside of your wallet. Wherever it is that you want to put it, because it's not going to show up in the deck using that Gaff card. So it's a very, very clever use of this half and half Gaff card. So this card allows for a very, very easy vanish of the 6 of Clubs without much effort on your end. The only thing you have to be conscious of is not to prematurely show the fact that it's a half and half card. But if you're spreading the deck casually and having the spectator see if they happen to catch the 6 of Clubs anywhere, they're not going to be paying attention to that individual card. They're going to be looking for the 6 of Clubs. So it's very easy to spread these cards very fairly. You don't have to be hidden or rushed about it, and they're not going to be able to spot the fact that there's a half and half card. So you could use that to take advantage of pretty much no work on your end and making the card vanish from the deck completely. So the next cards that are included in your Gaff pack are these double face aces. So these are aces on one side and Indifferent cards on the back. Now these cards have a number of uses, and they're specifically aces because there is a very, very famous routine known as I Dream of Aces or McDonald's Aces that make use of this particular Gaff. I Dream of Aces is an original routine by Gary Roulette, so you could look that up. However, you do have double-faced cards at your liberty here. So there's a number of things you could do with these as well, including another famous routine known as Anniversary Waltz, where you apparently combine 2 cards into one. It's a very, very nice routine. So I'm going to show you a simplified version of that. So this is going to be a very, very simplified version of Anniversary Waltz. There are more complicated ways to do it. However, this one kind of breaks it down just to its essentials. So you're going to take your double-faced card and you're going to put it whichever side you want on the bottom of the deck or wherever your favorite force position happens to be. So in this case, we're just going to repeat the same Hindu shuffle as before. We're going to take packets of cards from the top and have the spectator call stop. Wherever it is they call stop, we're going to turn all the cards in our right hand to a face-up position. What this allows us to do is to easily take these cards onto the right hand, because we're going to need to do a double lift with these cards in particular. So the easiest way to get into a double lift from here is to show this card to the spectator. At the same time, you're going to be pushing this card off and getting a break underneath. So at speed, it just looks like you've shown the 3 of hearts and you've taken the queen, pushed it slightly, and now pushed it back to get a break underneath. When you take this card back and put it on top of the deck, you now have a break underneath 2 cards ready for a simple double lift. So at this point, we're going to take this 3 of hearts, we're going to turn these 2 cards as 1, and we're going to take this card and drop it on the table. Now, if you notice, I'm not going to drop it on the table and show the ace of clubs. So the way that I do that is by just peeling it towards me, making sure that the face is always obscured, and put it on the table that way. Now, it's not going to be super consequential if the spectators see this particular card. However, there is a little bit of a discrepancy because they've seen 2 different cards as 1. So one more time here, we're just simply going to take these 2 cards, turn them over as 1, and we're going to drop that on the table as we turn our wrist towards ourselves. Now, at this point, we could drop this on the table, take the pack, put it on top, coalescing the deck, and now we're going to be ready to do another Hindu shuffle force of the bottom card. That's now the ace of clubs. If you've noticed, this is the Gaff card. So we've turned it over, and now we're ready to force the other side. So at this point, we're going to repeat the Hindu shuffle force, asking the spectator to call stop wherever it is they want. Let's say they happen to call stop here. We're going to repeat the action, turning this card face up, putting it on this particular hand. So at this point, we're going to repeat the same action as before. We're going to take the ace of clubs and show it to the spectator, call attention to it, at the same time getting a break underneath the top card of the deck, bringing it back together, and this time we're actually going to pick up both these cards as 1. So we're no longer going to do a double lift here, turning these 2 cards over as 1. We're going to pick them up. So now we're holding 2 cards that the spectator thinks are 1, because we're going to do a very, very nice pickup move at this point to apparently seemingly pick up both of these cards into the same hand. So we're going to take these 2 cards into the right hand. We're going to use those 2 cards to pick up apparently the 3 of hearts, and we're going to bring it to the deck to square it up. Really what we're going to do is we're going to square up all the cards of the deck and just lift up on our double facer. So what this looks like is you've just taken this card, squared it up with the deck, and picked up both cards back to back. Of course, this is one single card, but the spectator should think at this point that you've just squared these 2 cards up together and you're holding them back to back in this position. So it's a very, very good position to be in, because the spectators are under the impression that you are just simply showing these 2 cards in a back-to-back condition. You can now take the deck, drop it on the rest of the cards, take these cards onto your hand, and do whatever magical gesture you want to show that both cards have merged into one single card. Now, usually this is done with the signature of maybe a bride and a groom on both sides, and you could talk about the merger of matrimony. However, here we're just simply doing it with an unsigned card, but that's at your discretion. So the next cards that are included in your Gaff pack are going to be the double backers. So you're going to have 2 double backers of the same color. So in this case, we have a red and we have a blue. And you're also going to have a red and a blue double backer. Now, there are a number of tricks that you could do that involve these tricks. As a matter of fact, you could look up the trick that fooled Houdini on a certain 5'2", somewhat Cuban, slightly Arabic magician's channel, Pigcake. But these are classic Gaff cards that allow you to do cleaner double lifts and certainly clean up certain routines that may involve the use of different color backs. You can look on my channel. There's a number of tricks that use these double backers. However, my favorite use, and something that I feel a little bit dirty sharing with you guys here, is to use it as a card to anywhere. So what you simply do for that is you have one of these cards in your wallet. You can have this card in your pocket. You can have this card pretty much anywhere that would be an impossible location. Let's say we happen to have this underneath the mat that we have here. So we're going to place this card underneath the mat. All we're simply going to do is have the spectator pick any card they want. So in this case, let's say they pick the 5 of spades. We're simply going to control that card to the top using whatever method we want. I just use a simple Mahatma control to control that card to the top of the deck. All that we're doing there is having the spectator touch a card. We're putting our pinky there, separating both halves. And all we're going to do is we're going to lift up all the cards above the break and shuffle them to the bottom of the deck. That's it. What that does is that it seems like you're mixing a deck, really that card is on top of the deck. So at this point, all you have to do is show the card in its location and use that as misdirection to get a break underneath the top card of the deck. So in this case, we have a break underneath the card the spectator picked, the Queen of Hearts. So you could show the fact that there's a card in an impossible location. Say, this card has been here the entire time. I haven't touched it. Notice what I did there. I took this card and I squared up with the rest of the cards. So now all I have to do is a simple double lift to show the fact that it's the card, and I could easily spread it and show very cleanly that it's the same card that's now underneath the card mat. So what I like about this particular technique is, again, it's only limited by your imagination. So you could put this inside of your wallet, you could put this in your pocket, you could put this pretty much anywhere that you could reach, as long as you have that direction of attention by pointing out the fact that that card was absolutely anywhere, and you have the motivation for putting the card back on top of the deck. You could simply do a double lift and show that card very, very cleanly to have been anywhere your heart desires. As a little bit of a bonus, you could do the exact same thing with the red-blue double backer, with this time having it on the table from the beginning or in a wallet, wherever it is that you want. The bonus this time is you're going to get 2 color changes for the price of 1. So for this, we're going to have the same exact trick. We're going to have the card control to the top using, in this case, the Mahatma control. Now at this point, you could draw attention to the fact that there's been a card on the table since the beginning, but it happens to be a different colored back. You're using this as the needed misdirection to get a break underneath the top card of the deck. So at this point, you could draw attention to the fact that this card has been here all the while without anyone having touching it. Again, this is the motivation that I need to put this card on top of the deck, ready to do a double turnover. So at this point, you could just simply turn this card face up, doing a double lift, showing the fact that it happens to be the card the spectator picked. Now, as a little bit of a bonus here, you could take this card aside and notice that the deck is now the exact condition that it was before. Because of the fact that you're using a double-backed card with 2 different backs, you could actually spread it and show that there isn't anything of consequence for them to see at this point. And you get a nice little bonus here that you could talk about the fact that everything was, of course, an illusion or a dream, or that they made it up in their heads, or that they're crazy and schizophrenic and they imagined a different color back on this card. So a nice little bit of a bonus at the end of that particular routine. Again, using the same Gaff card and the same exact move, you get more impact for nothing. So the next card that's included in your kit is going to be this King of Diamonds, 2 of Spades. If you notice, the King of Diamonds has a 2 of Spades in its hand. Now this is going to be used, of course, for a little bit of a gag revelation or a gag prediction force. So we're going to force the 2 of Spades on the spectator using whatever technique we want. In this case, of course, since we've talked so much about the Hindu shuffle control, we could use that one to force the 2 of Spades on the bottom. So make sure to get the corresponding card on the bottom of the deck. We're just simply going to draw packets from the top and have the spectator call stop whenever they want. In this case, we could then show them the 2 of Spades wherever it is they call stop, coalesce it and say, look, we've had a prediction here from the start. I haven't touched it. I haven't switched it. I haven't used my QVC trick magic Gaff arm to switch the card. Now, of course, the gag being that the prediction happens to be a card that doesn't match. But, of course, when a spectator looks closer, they're going to notice that it happens to be the 2 of Spades. So one thing, just a little bit of a tidbit here. When you turn this card over, you could just use your thumb to block the 2 of Spades, so the spectator doesn't necessarily see him at first. And, of course, when you turn the card back over and have a little bit of a back and forth, argue with the spectator, make a little bit of a show at this point and tell him, no, I'm right. Look, it's holding the 2 of Spades. You need to get your eyes checked. And at that point, you could have a nice moment to the spectator where they realize they're wrong and you're right because you're the magician. So included in your Gaff pack is a blank card. However, because of the generosity of the wonderful GentlemanWake, not only is he a man of great stature, a very attractive individual, he also is a very humble man who's included a blank card with your Parlour deck. So you're going to get another one here in this Gaff pack, and there's a number of things you could do with this. You could do a little bit of a gag and use this as a prediction. You could do a little bit of a gag, write no on this. Tell the spectator you have a prediction. Do you have any idea what I wrote on the front of this card? The spectator is going to say no, and then you turn it over and you show the fact that you wrote no. It's a little bit cute. It's a little bit dumb. It wastes their time, but you know what? They deserve it. Another thing you could do is turn 4 blank cards into the aces. So it's a very, very simple move known as the frustration count. And I was very frustrated when I first learned this move because it fooled me tremendously bad. So what we're going to do is we're going to take your blank card followed by the 4 aces. So we're going to put the blank card here on the face, and we're going to turn this packet face down, and we're going to be ready to blow some minds. So here it's a very, very simple move. All we're going to do is take the cards onto our right hand and show the face. Then we're going to turn our palm face down and use our left thumb to take that card and put it onto our left hand. Now we're going to repeat that action 3 more times. Now you notice what this does is that it looks like you're just showing the cards and putting them in your right hand. Really, we're just showing the same card in the bottom multiple times, giving the illusion that we have a packet of 4 cards. Now for those of you guys that are mathematically inclined, you would notice that the last card is actually 2 cards being held together as 1. So when you actually execute the frustration count, you're actually holding back 2 cards at the end of it. If you want, you could do a little bit of a revolve here if you happen to be a little bit more of an advanced magician, or you could just take the card and drop it on top. Simple. Now at this point, you could just use your thumb to push off this ace of clubs and show the fact that it's now a different card altogether. You want to do that with a little bit of a flourish, you're more than welcome. However, you've now apparently changed one of the cards into an ace. At this point, you're going to take this ace of clubs and use it to turn over the rest. So we're just going to simply put this on the bottom as we turn over the entire pack. And we're going to spread the cards, again making sure that when we spread the 3rd card, we're not going to prematurely show the fact that there's 1 card hidden underneath. So we're just going to spread 1, spread a 2nd, use our thumb to push off this one, and we're just simply going to turn these cards and show the fact that we've managed to get the aces from absolutely nowhere, thus concluding this lovely introduction into whatever ace trick you want. So the next card that's included in your Gaff pack is going to be this very unique, never seen before combination of the Queen of Hearts and the King of Hearts from your Parlour deck into one. So we have GentlemanWake and LadyWake, apparently as Siamese twins with another GentlemanWake and LadyWake with the 2 of Hearts on both ends. So it's a very, very unique card. And as another bonus, if you happen to notice, you could see that they're holding a card in their hand, which happens to be the Ace of Hearts. So you have a multi-layered, multifaceted card at your disposal here. And I'm going to show you how you could use it to be the life of the party. So there's going to be a little bit more of an advanced routine. It's going to require the use of a move known as the Flip It move by Louis Simonoff, which does require a little bit of a knack, but once you get it, you're going to be able to have a very, very nice color change at your disposal. So the setup for this particular routine is going to be very, very simple. We're going to have the Ace of Hearts that corresponds to the Force card on the bottom of the deck. We're also going to have on top of the deck the Queen of Hearts, followed by the King of Hearts, followed by your Super Mega Gaff card, third from the top of the deck. So now at this point, we're going to do the Touch Force by Gary Ouellette. So this is going to allow us to still maintain control of the top stock while forcing the bottom card of the deck. So it's going to be a fairly simple force to do, but it does require some practice. So first things first, we're going to cut the deck approximately in the middle, and we're going to keep a break separating both halves. At this point, we're going to have the spectator touch one of these cards. Notice you don't say, hey, touch a card, because they might be inclined to touch below your break. So you might want to say, touch one of these as you spread the cards. Whatever card they touch, we're going to stick it out closer to them, giving it a little bit of an out jog while still maintaining our break. Now at this point, we're going to do a very, very simple action. We're going to square this card with the rest of the deck. At the same time, we're going to lift up at our break. So what this does is that this effectively forces the Ace of Hearts. Now, of course, you don't want to do this towards yourself. You want to do this towards them. So at speed, the move just looks like this. We have the spectator touch whichever card they want. So let's say it happens to be that one. Remember, we have our pinky break. So we're going to square the card up with the rest of the deck. At the same time, we're going to lift up at our break, showing them the Ace of Hearts. So at speed, the move just looks like this. They touch whatever card they want, and we show them the Ace of Hearts. So at this point, you're going to coalesce the deck. However, you're going to keep a break separating both halves. You could spread the deck at this point as long as you maintain a break. And we're going to do a double undercut to control that card to the top of the deck. So a double undercut is just a very, very simple move. All we're going to do is transfer the deck to our right hand, just like this. In transferring the deck, automatically the break is now going to be held between the fatty portion of our thumb here. We're just going to take half these cards underneath the break, bring it to the top, and then take the remaining cards and bring it to the top. So at this point, what we have is the Queen of Hearts on top, followed by the King of Hearts, followed by the 2 of Hearts here, or the 2 Super Gaff card. At this point, we're just going to do whatever series of false cuts we want to apparently try to locate the spectator's card and fail twice. So the first failure is going to be with the Queen of Hearts. The next failure after a false cut is going to be the King of Hearts, of which we could then scold the spectator for picking the wrong card. It's not you, it's them. So at this point, you're going to take these two cards. You're going to use the apparent frustration to get a break underneath the Super Megadon Transformer card on top. At this point, you're going to square these two cards up on top of the deck, and you're going to execute the Louis Simonov Flip It move. So the Flip It move is a little bit of a complicated move, but once you actually get the mechanics down, it's going to be fairly simple. You're going to drop your hand. As you drop your hand, it's going to introduce air between these cards, which is actually going to cause the card to flip this way. So if you drop your hand rapidly, you're going to notice that the card is going to flip over. Now, of course, you're going to need to make sure that you don't drop the card and bring it up past the point where you initially started, because then that's when you're going to have an issue with the card spreading like that. So you want to make sure that you have a nice even drop so that the cards remain as square as possible. Now, of course, if you did this move out in the open, the spectators are going to know exactly what happened. So you're going to cover the move by slapping the cards. So if you time it correctly and do the move as you slap the deck, it looks like you've just mashed those two cards together into one Super Mega card. Now at this point, remember, you've already forced the Ace of Hearts on the spectator. So not only do you have this very visual moment where you've merged these two cards into one, but now after the applause has died down, you could then call attention to the fact that they happen to be holding the card, the Ace of Hearts, thus concluding this very, very nice trick. As a small bonus, of course, you don't have to include the Ace of Hearts as a revelation. If you've noticed, the exterior pips show the Two of Hearts, so you could use the Ace of Hearts or the Two of Hearts, whichever card happens to be your favorite. I like the Ace of Hearts because they happen to be holding it and they don't notice it immediately. You could call attention to it, but the Two of Hearts also works as a revelation for this particular Super Mega Transformer card. So the last card that's going to be included in your kit is going to be a Six of Diamonds with this half and half card. Now this is where we trick the YouTube algorithm into making this channel better than it is, because you guys are going to provide different things that you could do with this particular card. So leave it in the comments below your uses for this half gaff card, and maybe you could inspire somebody to come up with a fantastic card trick of their own. So I just want to say thank you to TheGentlemanWake for allowing me to teach these cards. Thank you also for the judge allowing me to do this as my community service. Ever since I decided to very ungraciously break into TheGentlemanWake's house and steal some cards, I've really had a change of heart. So thank you to TheGentlemanWake. Again, this is my own opinion. There's no gun being held off camera. I just want to say thank you for letting me be on your channel, gentlemen, and subscribe to Pigcake. Am I allowed to say that? Yeah, okay, good, thank you. Subscribe to Pigcake. Make sure to give him a follow. He's a fun guy. I'm going to go figure out different ways to fix holes on denim sweaters.
Special thanks to Pigcake for his awesome skills. This particular video was shot prior to his 50K subscriber big face reveal, so I'll be sure to show the man's face in its full glory next time he's on the show. In the meantime, to check out another tutorial featuring Pigcake, click here, and don't forget to subscribe to both channels if you haven't already. Thank you guys so much for watching. I've been TheGentlemanWake. See you next time.